after Nicholas said pickle, after he said hot dog truck, we called him Pickless for the rest of the whole episode.
Oh my gosh, Pickleless.
It's Pickless.
Those pickle slices on the
Oh,
side.
Pickless. Knock it off, Pickless. You're driving us crazy.
Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of The Box Cutter, where we take apart an episode of Disney's Out of the Box and see if it still holds up. My name is Daniel, and my co-host, or should I say co-host, for this episode are my two good friends of two different generations. One's a father, one's a son. So, hi Ethan. Hey Jason. How's everything going?
Cool.
I'm good. Besides staying inside, how are you guys keeping yourselves occupied with the advisories to stay in and distance yourselves from others?
Well, I work, so Monday through Friday I have to go. I'm quote unquote an essential employee, you know, the socializing. It's hard. We're lucky technology allows us to stay in touch with everybody right now, but yeah, it's just been very isolating.
I've been doing a lot of watching TV and or on my computer to talk with my friends. Lately, I've been getting back into rewatching Doctor Who.
Well, I mean, I really wish I knew more about Doctor Who, but I just don't. I mean, it sounds interesting, but at the same time, I feel like sometimes my brain is like the size of an ostrich. And I just can't follow along with certain things like Star Wars and Doctor Who.
Yeah, some of them are hard if you don't see the beginning. You kind of have to be from the beginning type of fan. You can't just jump in and watch an episode. It'll be very confusing.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely things that I feel like I'm big brained in, like Out of the Box and, I don't know, Power Rangers, but when it comes to stuff like that or superhero stuff, I'm very ostrich brained. Yeah, speaking of Out of the Box, do you guys have any familiarity with the show, or from your respective viewpoints, is this something unfamiliar to you?
This show is very new to me. It's very unfamiliar because I didn't really grow up with it, so it's not a show that I've got to know. But there's some quirks to it that I do enjoy.
Mm-hmm. And what about you then, Jason?
Well, I can remember back, because my oldest son is 22, and so I have watched this show over 20 years ago when it aired. And it may not have been an original; it might have been a rerun because they ran it for reruns for a little while. When like I said, Logan, my oldest son, was small. It's different to go back at my age now and watch it with my grown son than it is to watch it with my little son. It's a completely different dynamic.
So the episode for today is called Really Wheelie. The episode starts with Tony in the clubhouse playing with his tambourine, and he shows off the many different ways to play it, like rubbing it, patting it, shaking it, all these different ways. And then Vivian shows up to sit right next to Tony, and my thought is, where are the kids? It's kind of irresponsible for her to just come into the clubhouse and expect the kids to follow right behind her. There's always this cardinal rule of line of sight, keep line of sight of the kids that you're watching. And
are they babysitting the neighbor kids?
Yes, they take care of the neighborhood kids during the summertime, is what it seems like.
Okay, so it's like daycare. That makes a little more sense. It gets
Hmm.
rid of the creepy factor that was going on when I was watching it. Like they're just randomly dragging these neighborhood kids into their box fort behind their house. So it's a good thing. Yeah. Okay. So that is helpful. That does take away some of the thoughts I was having when I
Yeah,
watched the
it does. They it's kind of in the promos and the commercial that they originally ran that Tony and Vivian are caretakers that take care of the little kids in their neighborhood, and have things planned out and all that stuff. So yeah, they're the neighborhood babysitter caretakers that run like a day camp. So yeah, so like I was saying, it's just a little irresponsible for her to expect the kids to come in right behind her versus them coming in and then she comes in right after them so that way she can keep a good eye on them.
I think what it boils down to is they are older, so I I do understand the whole line of sight, but I understand why she's not fully like keeping an eye on them because she knows that they're
Well, yeah, and this show's not about how to be a good caregiver for kids. It really isn't.
That is
It's
true.
more of an imagination building type of show.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, maybe it's just the educator in me of like all the guidelines that they give us of you can't give kids food, you have to keep them in your line of sight
Yeah,
and all that
they
stuff.
had a million peoples on set. She didn't have to have them in line of sight. The sound guy had them in a line of sight. The camera guys had them in a line of sight.
I'm
They were
thinking in
good.
their universe. I'm thinking within the universe of the show.
Oh yeah, I know.
I know, I
So,
know.
so,
I'm so
so
dorky.
that is what bothers you.
That's what
It's the
stood out
fact
in
that
my
she,
head.
in your head, it bothers you is that she didn't keep the and and what bothers me is that is that Dane drug trash to their house.
that's
And the other
Yeah,
thing is, you worried about line of sight. Where they didn't know where Dane was.
that's what
Dane,
I'm talking about. She would
Dane
like
was
literally.
garbage diving out in front of the houses.
That's what I was saying. That's what I'm implying is that so she comes in and
okay.
she's like only two of the kids come in. They usually have three of them with them. So Cece and Nicholas come in and Cece grabs this puppet off this puppet rack
Yeah,
called
Pogo.
Pogo the porcupine. And so they're all together saying hi. And then they hear this like metal rickety sound. And then we see Dane pulling something into the clubhouse. So he's like pulling and tugging. And he's like, oh, you'll never guess what it is. And go ahead.
But okay, so he drags that silly wagon all the way down the street to Vivian's backyard and gets it to there, and he can't pull it inside the clubhouse.
I mean,
So
it's kind of like the whole situation of a dog with a big stick trying to get it through the gate.
sure, if you say so, but I mean, what's funny is with I have three kids.
Mm-hmm.
Kids do that kind of stuff. They're like, "Look what I found. Can you fix it?" And you're like, "Dude, it was in the trash for a reason."
I used to be that kid.
Well, yeah, and you still fix things, and you're good. You're very handy, and that's pretty a testament for your generation. It's not a normal thing for your generation, but I think it's awesome that you're handy.
But see, then part of me is like, kids break stuff all the time. So what if he accidentally broke it on the way?
Put it had four wheels before you got there.
What if the wheel was in the pile of junk, like Dane says, but he just didn't care to look for it?
Yeah, and then they end up ripping the entire clubhouse looking for a wheel for it.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, so like they realize Nicholas is the one to realize, hey, this thing only has three wheels. What's so good about a wagon with just three wheels? And yeah, they look for a wheel, a suitable replacement for a wheel for this wagon.
They do.
And so they literally like spend all of 5 seconds and only find a hat box and I don't know what you call that toy. I I don't know, a spinning top. I really don't know what you call those.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
an
from
old style top thing that you push the top in on it. It's like from the 50s. I don't even know what the heck it's called.
A whirling dervish? I don't know.
No, how would we call it, a dreidel? No, it's not a dreidel.
No.
But it's a top of some sort. That's enough. I mean, so they find all that stuff.
And then
And then they
says bagel.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. So yeah, so they find all this stuff. They're like, oh, none of this stuff will work. So then they keep looking, but this time in song.
It's music time.
The song is called "We Need a Wheel," and it has this very early '90s type of like hip hop-ish type of vibe.
Are you aware of Tony's background, like the actor Tony?
Yes.
He was the drummer for a band in the early '90s called Maggie's Dream, and they were signed with Capitol Records. They were actually, I mean, they were the epitome of '90s rock, though. I mean, that music, like you said, that song sounded like '90s rock. I mean, they opened for Fishbone, they opened for Faith No More back in the '90s, and so yeah. I wonder if Tony wrote it.
It's an interesting song, and it had like a dance to it of how to describe a wheel, which is round, skinny from the front. It has a hole in the middle, and they roll.
Yeah, I was thinking Vivian was going to break something. That dance, I'm telling you, I thought she was going to throw out a hip or something.
She thought like 80.
She's young.
I know.
She just dresses like she's 80.
She does dress like she's 80.
It's very conservative, but then again,
and then you take her to church. Yes.
I think it was one of the goofiest songs I've ever heard, but I think that's what makes it good. Is it's just it's goofy.
It's so bad it's good.
It's so bad to the point where it's good.
When you see Tony and Vivian standing next to each other, you think that Tony is 100 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's 5'11".
But
so she is tiny. Compared, no, she is a tiny woman. Period. We rewatched it, and I'm looking. She's just barely taller than those kids.
I'm pretty sure we're the same height because I'm 5'3", and a lot of the time, my third graders are like, "Oh, I'm almost as tall as you, Mr. Daniel."
Oh.
And I just mess with them by saying, "Yeah, this is usually how tall people get." So after searching the entire clubhouse, apparently after singing that song, they still can't find a replacement for their wagon. But they're determined to find one, even though they apparently looked through the entire clubhouse. So they review what a wheel needs to have in order to meet their criteria, which is round and skinny in the front and all that and blah, blah, blah. And that's when Tony gets the idea of using a bagel.
He's pulling the whole, I'm going to say something ridiculous, and I'm going to see how they react. Because he knows that they ain't going to put a bagel on the wagon.
Cece was the one to mention, oh, why don't you use one of your drumsticks? And I was just like, well, I don't know anything about percussion, so I don't even know
if blasphemy.
So Cece points out that they're just too small. And Dane then spots a wooden spool in like a trash bin or something. Aren't wooden spools more for like industrial wiring and stuff like that?
No. Yarn comes on it. I've seen ribbon on it. There's lots of things that it comes on. You question the fact that they found a wooden spoon in a cardboard box fort built in their backyard that is the size of a warehouse on the inside.
It's imagination. They have the ability to astral project. They collectively, as a cult, astral project the inside.
I like it.
That's
Tony and
magic.
Vivian. Tony and Vivian are cult leaders that brainwash the neighborhood into taking care of their children.
So they hand out mushrooms.
They do not hand out
Everything was
mushrooms.
so special.
They're spellcasters. They're level 20 spellcasters who use suggest as a spell to tell the neighborhood we will take care of your children, but
so they kidnap the kids in the neighborhood.
They don't kidnap the kids.
They feed them mushrooms.
They don't feed them mushrooms.
And they can have imagination. So they find a spool.
My question is, how does the wagon still work when the spool is like that wide? It's like
they can't see your hand, son.
It's like 5 feet wide.
No, it's not 5 feet wide.
I'm sorry. I'm exaggerating.
It's a foot wide.
It's a foot wide, and these wheels are like a few.
So that's my point. My point is, they spend like half the episode looking for a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they have the wheel, Tony has the bolt and screw that'll make it fit.
Not true. He sticks it. No, because what happened is they stick a drumstick on it, and it magically fits onto the wagon's axle with just a drumstick. And I'm just thinking it takes more.
It was like a bolt.
It was
a bolt, but they were oblivious to the fact that Tony stuck a drumstick on it, and then he slid it into the axle of the wagon, and then they didn't realize that they had a shot of the spool with the bolt on it.
It was the mushrooms they took before they went in the box.
Sure.
Get in the box.
And the wagon is now quote unquote fixed.
It is. But they want to make it special.
And Vivian asked what they should do with it. And each of the kids come up with an idea. So Nicholas is like, let's make it a super duper hot dog mobile that runs on mustard. And I don't know what else he said. And then he runs off. And then Cece is like, let's make it into a rocket powered pumpkin carriage and powered by magic. And Pogo can be Cinderella. And then we have Dane say, oh, let's make it a fire truck. He's so straightforward.
He's that's about as much as my imagination has. Fire truck.
He dresses like he works at Home Depot or something.
we were gonna talk. He was a Gap kid. Leave him alone.
So Tony and Vivian just love everyone's idea and decide to combine them all to make a super duper hot dog pumpkin fire truck.
Yes, and this is what's wrong.
What's wrong with it?
Your generation was told everybody's right. Well, you know what? In real world, you really can't have a hot dog princess fire truck. It just doesn't work. You know, they're going to run into problems when they go to put a fire out or sell hot dogs. What you can't do both at the same time. So
and be a rocket powered pumpkin boat.
Oh, I know
there's no rocket power there.
There was no rocket. They never did do rocket power.
But I mean,
they didn't pumpkin either. They just did. She got glitter.
Well, the compromise inspired the kids to figure out how to decorate the wagon.
Yeah, glitter.
Glitter and a tube.
It's music time.
So the song that they sing is called "We're Driving Down the Street."
Yeah, driving down the street.
It's silly, but there's just too many verses in that song because I'm just like, what? How did it go? It's like
we're not going there.
I'm not, but I'm just, for example.
There's some honks going on in the room and some brakes, screech and squeak.
Too many verses is what I'm saying. It's too many verses for a kid to remember.
There were so many verses by the end of the song. The actual sounds were happening. They weren't even making the sounds anymore. There was actually a real car horn and a real screech and a real squeak.
And that's when you know.
I thought I was having a stroke because I was like, oh great, I'm hearing the noises now. I thought I was having a stroke.
I thought I took the mushrooms, to be honest with you.
So, but yeah, it was silly, but there were just too many verses. But it was kind of jitterbuggish, I'd say.
Jitterbug. Oh my god. Well,
so yeah,
that song was so bad it ran my wife out of the room. She's like, I can't take it anymore. I'm leaving. So yeah, there's where you have that song.
So after singing that very long song, everyone then starts to look for things to decorate the wagon.
It's arts and crafts time.
And then we get into probably one of the worst arts and crafts segments from the show. I don't even have a way to describe it. I just put wagon decorating. It's just literally a montage of them putting stuff on in this wagon, like these headlights with pumpkins in them, and like this wooden box that's the engine, and like it was a montage. It had nothing to do with arts and crafts. It's not budget friendly, and it just feels like an afterthought.
My dad told me this, and I didn't think about it, but it seems like everything's coming out of a box. It's like a box out of a box out of a box. It's boxception.
It's boxception. It's some sort of weird, like they have to get their supplies out of a box while they're in a box, messing with the box. It's just weird. But no, I'm with you. And it literally would be like if you went to the local high school theater and you went in their prop room and you just took that broken ass wagon and you filled it up with all kinds of weird ass props you found in there and then said, make that look like something. I mean, the ladder is a tube. And as someone who uses ladders for a living, a tube is not a ladder. And I get this whole imagination. But they could have found a real ladder.
That segment was just diabolical.
I don't know if I would say diabolical.
It was a hot mess. That segment.
Yeah, exactly.
So after tossing all this junk into their car, they admire how awesome their car turned out, and they name it. Wampus Wheelagig. And I was like, what? I had to rewind it like 5 times just to write it how I heard it. And I thought it was like some genus. Wampus Wheelagus. Like a dinosaur or something. No, it's Wampus Wheelagig.
Yeah, it's Willigig.
I know kids come up with the silliest, craziest, obscure, obscene names. But even for me, it's just like, what? I don't know.
You're saying at this point is when you said what?
Yes.
I've been saying what for about 15 minutes at this point. What? I'm telling you, the hardest part about watching this show, when you watch a show with your kids, you kind of get into it, you kind of let it, and you see them like they get amazed by the tambourine or by the cool looking stuff they stuck on it, and they're totally into it. When you don't have that, it's really, really hard to get into the show. It's cool. I mean, it lasted 3 seasons, and I really, you know what? If it was special to you, I think that's awesome. I really do, because I think back to my childhood, to the things that really, really were important to me. That like we talk about. I'm not that old, but there was a time frame that the only time that there weren't kids shows on all the time. So there were only kids shows on early in the morning, and then after school between like 3 and 5, and that was it. That's the only time they had kids shows.
But yeah, Wampus Wheelagig.
Wampus Willigig.
Sounds like a dinosaur.
I like the Willigus, which is like a genus, like a scientific name for it. But
Willigus.
Willigus, yeah, Willigig.
Yeah, I just realized I messed up too by saying Willigus instead of Willigig. But yeah, Dane suggests taking their car for a ride, with Cece realizing that Pogo went missing. They find Pogo in a box. Well, Tony finds Pogo in a box.
Yes,
and then
everything is in a box on this show.
Mm-hmm. And then Cece has Pogo asking to go for a ride in the car, but before they can take it out for a ride, this lion mechanic with no name checks the oil, and then they check to make sure that they have gas before going out for a ride. And then Cece asks where they're gonna go, and Vivian suggests the highway. That's not a destination. That's, unless you're asking to get murdered. That's not a real destination.
Get on the highway. They do a lot of misinforming on the kids. Like, they really do. I mean, they let imagination go too far a little bit, but yeah. Take the wagon out on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a
Nothing
breakdown.
And it has a ladder that looks like a licorice tube.
So yeah, so they roll out a bolt of like table covering, and then they pull out the wagon, and then Pogo.
That was like
That was a bolt of material. I mean, that was a whole thing of fabric.
Mm-hmm. And then they take the wagon, and then Pogo falls out of the wagon.
It's story time.
So this is an original story that I just titled "Wampus Wheeligig to the Rescue" because I really could not come up with any other name for it, and it's just basic.
Very, very well thought out one, though. I would give you that.
And so it's about Pogo being stuck in a tower, crying out for help.
so maybe Cece's not.
Maybe Cece's not a good parent. Maybe Cece can't grab the puppet when she walks in the door because you notice that was the first thing she did when she came in. I'm getting the puppet.
Mm-hmm. And so the kids spot Pogo in the tower, and they take Wampus Willigig and to go rescue Pogo. And so they go through rubble, and their wheel falls off. So I like that they call back to that.
Yeah, because it was put on with a bubble gum and a shoestring.
Yeah, it was just put on with a drumstick.
Even MacGyver turned his back on that and said no.
But they somehow get it back on with the same drumstick and everything.
It's a bolt, and I'm telling you.
I know it was a bolt, but that was just poor planning on their part. They didn't do a good camera shot hiding the middle.
Yeah, okay.
I do love that Pogo fourth wall breaks.
Yes, Pogo fourth wall breaks. So Vivian does have a sense of humor. The story, it was very original. It was more of them playing pretend and coming up with a scenario.
And Cece actually looked seriously concerned for a moment.
She was a good actress.
Yeah. Or she believed that her puppet was in trouble.
And so the main themes that I got from it were persevering and problem solving. But it was super loose.
Super loose. We're gonna go with super loose.
Super loose.
So after rescuing Pogo, they cheer for themselves and Wampus Wheeligig, and they take a victory lap around the clubhouse before Vivian leads them home.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. They're walking around. How does the wheel not pop off again? It's popped off once.
Yes.
All right.
And the other thing is, I want a gig where I only watch kids for 20 minutes and I'm done.
They time skip. You saw the montage.
Oh.
Yeah,
with the boxes.
Yeah, with the box and the box and the box and the box. Yeah, so anytime something comes out of a box, we're time skipping.
Well, yeah.
I want that power.
While Vivian's taking the kids home, Tony takes the opportunity to recap and admire how the kids took an old wagon and restored it and decorated it, and suggests that the viewers try that out or have fun pretending to be a fire truck. And that was really wheelie.
Yes, that was. And Pickless and his pickles on the side of the fire truck, the ferry truck.
It was a super duper hot dog pumpkin fire truck.
Yes. Yes, Pickless, it is.
So let's go ahead and give our notes on the actors then. So
I love Tony. He's very, very positive, and and just the way he talks to the camera. I had to remind myself that he was talking to children. That's the thing. You, as an adult, you watch this. You have to remember he's not talking to 46-year-old me. He's talking to little children. Because 46-year-old me would be all, dude, you are creepy as hell, and you need to stop it. For real. I mean, but I like Tony. I think he's awesome. I think he's a little goofy and quirky, and I think the kids totally think he's fun, and yay.
Well, this goes for both Tony and Vivian. but then, and it's just with all kids TV shows. It did feel a bit forced, but then again, you have to be like positive and like upbeat because you're dealing with children. You have to brighten you have to keep a happy imagination.
I just figured they gave him drugs before they went on camera.
Well, my thoughts on him this episode were that he was really playful and silly, and he nudged the kids in the direction of figuring out the solution rather than just telling them what to do. So
I want a real children's show where like they actually scream at the kids.
They're
like, what are you doing? Put the scissors down and stop running. Part of the reason why, like I tell you, I sat down and watched these shows with my kids and why I spend lots of time getting to know what they're into because, you know, my generation, our parents were dual workers and never home, and I was a latchkey kid, and my parents had no clue what I was into. I liked comic books, my mom said. Well, it was a little bit more than that, but okay, yeah, I liked comic books.
What about Vivian? What do you think of Vivian then?
I feel like after the third season was over, she didn't smile for 2 years because her face was just tired of smiling.
I remember freezing, like pausing the episode to take notes, and it looked like, because it paused on her smiling, it looked like she was staring into my soul on the still frame.
But honestly, she seems like the most engaged person there. She's like,
She's inquiring about what the kids are doing, but also giving suggestions and encouraging them and listening to them, but also being playful as well.
And I think it's more than acting. I think she really, really, really is that sweet and that nice. I don't think you can act that sweet and nice. I think she really is that sweet and nice of a person. I think she does. You know, I think she does smile all the time. I think that constant smiling that we see is natural for her.
All right, then. So let's move on to the kids. Let's start with the main focus, Dane.
Dane's the main focus. I think Pickless is, but okay.
I do think.
Well, it was his wagon, so he did. So obviously, it was supposed.
Was it really Dane's wagon?
He found it.
Oh, finders keepers, really?
Losers.
Yeah, that's just another piece of trash that my kid drug into the garage.
I think it was Cece's
because of her engaging with Pogo.
She had glitter and rockets. all Dane got was a ladder, and all Nicholas got was two pickles on the side of the.
She
ladder.
even got pumpkin headlights.
So Cece's the
Cece was the winner.
Cece was
sure.
You know that, and then poor Nicholas. You know, we joke about calling him Pickless, but I mean, man, his teeth got in the way of everything he had to say.
Dane is optimistic, but he's also straightforward, and he's really kind to, you know, take Cece and Nicholas's suggestions of how to decorate his wagon that he found.
Yeah, but is it his wagon? He brought trash to the box. At that point, I think the wagon belongs to the box.
I mean, they took it home.
Who took it home?
The last thing that we saw of the kids was that they took the wagon home, and I'm guessing that Dane kept it because he found it.
Really, I think there was a fist fight. Pickless might have lost a tooth. There was a fist fight over.
I'm pretty sure if there was a fist fight, Cece would win because she seems like the type of girl who.
Cece would have kicked off their butts.
Yes.
Dane only got the ladder, and Pickless got his pickles. She's got the most decorations.
She gets the whole wagon.
She's gonna fight, and she's gonna win the wagon.
She'll take the ladder and swing at them with the ladder.
So what's gonna happen though? No,
slap the pickles on.
Slap the pickles on the side of his head. Whap! You got pickle head.
Now you really are Pickless.
Now you are Pickless. No, you know what really happened is once they got it outside of the box, that stupid drumstick fell out. The wheel fell off, and they just left the trash in their yard and went home.
what thought is that this is the first, like, I think this is the only episode that they even pick up that porcupine. They have another puppet called Swampy, and that's a crocodile. And they use that one more than Pogo, and they only use Pogo for this one episode, so.
Poor Pogo.
They just do.
Well,
Like, I saw every other episode. Pogo is not in any other episode.
do you see him in the background?
No.
Cece stole him.
Probably.
Child care. She saw something at her daycare she wanted, and she stuck Pogo in her backpack when she went home.
Alright then, so let's judge each segment then. So let's go ahead and just start with the theme of Wheels. Do you think the theme of Wheels would hold a kid's interest?
Okay, so yes, that's a very conceptual thing they've used since Sesame Street in the 70s to currently now, like the wheel and understanding how a wheel goes round and round, and that always fascinates children. So yes, that does hold up.
Especially with Colin. Colin loves.
Oh yeah, my youngest son is a wheel freak. So yeah, it holds up.
Yeah, for me, I think it's well, I guess from what I see, I think it's just odd as a theme, but there's also the under theme of taking something old and restoring it. So I think the theme of the episode, I'd say it still holds up. I just find it odd. All right then. So what about the music in this episode? Do you think the music?
No.
It does not. Maybe with like young kids, but like
super young, like 3 and 4 year olds, maybe
like
pre-kindergarten.
pre-kindergarten. But other I feel like music taste has changed so much that's the young kid age range is the only
Yeah,
kid.
7, 8 year olds will be ranking on it nowadays.
Well, I mean, I have to agree with that. I'd say it just doesn't hold up because, well, we're driving down the street is just too many lyrics. It's silly, but it just has no focus, and it's really long, like lyric heavy. But then we need a wheel or whatever, and it's kind of outdated with the whole 90s hip hop vibe that it gives, and it's simple, but I don't think the music holds up.
No, but it's 20 years ago, so
Mm-hmm.
that is a factor.
Yeah.
All right, then. So the arts and crafts, just right off, no, it does not hold up because there was no arts and crafts segment to begin with. It was just a montage of them cramming junk into a wagon.
They didn't make any. Oh well, Pickles found some pickles from somewhere, but you don't ever see them making anything.
They put a fence on it. They put a chair.
They put headlights. They put
that's
a pinwheel.
Yeah, they put a wheel, and they put the pickles on it. Don't forget the pickles.
Don't forget.
Don't
Pickles
forget
says, "Look at the pickles."
I put the pickles on the side of the super duper hot dog pumpkin
Fire truck. All right, then the story. For me, the story, it was super original, but it's kind of not necessarily a story and more of a play acting out a scenario type of situation.
But it's very, very overdone.
Yeah,
You say it's original. I
That's
don't
what
think it's very original. Whether the trapped in the tower has been going on since before I was alive.
And lastly, the overall acting in this episode. I say it holds up only because the way that the kids act, it doesn't feel like they're reading off of line versus other educational shows where it sounds like they're reading off of a script. These kids read the scripts very naturally, and the way that they act, especially Pickles, it's very much spontaneous in how kids act. They're really goofy and nerdy and like have ideas left and
Actually,
right.
like Dane, I think Dane is the best, like, calm actor and stuff like that. I think sometimes Nicholas was shouting his lines a little bit. That's how I felt.
He was definitely like overly excited to like.
Yeah.
But that's what kids are. Kids are overly excited sometimes. They get like.
I think that if you like what really we need to watch a current kid show with hosts on it. You'll see that the hosts aren't as positive, that they toned it down a bit. They're positive and they're happy, but they're not like on meds so deep that they're freaking smiling from ear to ear and waiting for the Joker to come out and go, "Welcome to my clubhouse."
There's Sesame Street. It's still going on today.
Yeah, Sesame Street is still on, but I think they've calmed down a little bit. So I don't know if it's held up. I don't know. Like we've raised our kids to be afraid of certain behavior. They might terrify kids to watch it.
So overall, really, it does not hold up, and it has the significance of being the first episode in this podcast to not hold up.
Yeah, I've actually enjoyed this way more than the episode.
Make sure to leave a comment if you like what you hear. Why not subscribe? I put out new episodes Saturdays on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and my YouTube channel. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Give me suggestions or just comments at theboxcutter@gmail.com, because it takes a village to raise something beautiful. In the words of Tony and Vivian, so long, farewell, until we meet again.
All we need is just one wheel more.
With only 3 wheels, our wagon needs a fix.
We need another wheel.
Wheelie, wheelie, quick!
Wheels around. From the front they're skinny. They have a hole in the middle. And they roll, and they roll. Wheels around. From the front they're skinny. They have a hole in the middle. And they roll, and they roll.
We need a wheel! We need a wheel! We need a